1998 Toyota RAV4 oil change. The oil change procedure will be the same for 1996 through 2000 Toyota RAV4s and similar on other Toyota models. Quick layout of the engine. This is where we're going to refill the oil. This down here is where we're going to check the oil. That there is the oil filter, and we're going to drain the oil from below. You just need something to drain the oil into. It needs to be able to hold about a gallon of oil. You'll need some oil. Each one of these containers is 5 quarts, which is 1¼ gallon. This is a synthetic oil. This is a conventional oil. You'll also need a 14 millimeter. I recommend a 6-point socket. This is not necessary, but it's very helpful, especially if you aren't particularly strong or don't have strong wrists. This is an oil filter wrench. This fits right on the oil filter and allows you to put that extension right in here so you can turn it. And it's really great. Some people are really strong, they can just grab the oil filter and turn it. And if you can do that, then that's fine. There's little notes that I have on here, just a little tip. You can just take a piece of tape and put all your info. So this is just remind me it's a 14 millimeter socket, 27 foot-pounds is the torque on the drain plug, and my refill is 4.1 liters, not quarts, 4.1 liters. You'll also want a funnel and something to pour your oil with. That is a measuring cup because I like to measure my oil. You'll need an oil filter. This is one that I like. This is a Purolator Pure One PL14476. But there's a number of great oil filters that'll work as well. I recommend replacing this. This is the oil drain plug gasket, and that is an aluminum gasket, and so it gets crushed in the process of torquing down the drain plug. If you reuse it, you run the risk of possibly over torquing your drain plug and stripping the threads. It can happen. It's not super common, but it can happen. I replace them. The Toyota part number is 90430-12031, or you can use the Dorman. The Dorman number is 095156. Lastly, you'll need a torque wrench. Not absolutely necessary, but save yourself the trouble of accidentally over torquing that drain plug and use a torque wrench. If you can, take your RAV4 for a quick spin to get the engine up to operating temperature, and that'll warm up the oil and allow you to get a little bit more of that dirty oil out of there. And now we'll pop the hood. Okay, to get started, we're just going to come down on this passenger side of the vehicle, left side of the vehicle, come on under, and there is the oil pan, and that is the oil drain plug. We're going to use that 14 millimeter socket to open that up. Alright, you're looking at the oil pan here. It's going to be a little bit warm because if you've been driving around, it'll be warm. This is the drain plug. This is what we're going to be removing with that 14 millimeter. This is going to be very hot, this exhaust pipe, so don't touch that if you've been driving around. So we're going to turn this counterclockwise as normal. Now it might be on there, it might feel a little tight. It's the torque spec is 27 foot-pounds, but it shouldn't be too bad. There it goes. Now you're going to want to put the pan under. I don't put the pan under right away because it gives a little bit more room. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to have trouble getting my socket off there. So what I'm going to do is pull this whole kit and caboodle off with the socket on it. And there goes some oil. Now you probably won't have this problem, but the drain plug is stuck to this socket, so I'm just going to stick a screwdriver in there and pop it out. The reason I don't think you're going to have this problem is that this particular oil pan, this is a replacement oil pan. You can check the pinned comment for a link to that video if you need to see that. And so when they do the replacement oil pan, they just spray that anti-corrosive liner all over everything. So right under here, that there is actually the gasket, and you can see they just kind of painted it one and the same with the drain plug. So I'm going to pop that gasket off. your gasket will either be on your drain plug, or it might still be stuck to your drain pan, or it might have fallen out in your oil. You don't need to find the gasket because we're going to replace it. If you don't have a replacement gasket, you do need to find it. You just need to make sure that it's not still stuck on the oil pan because you don't want to double up on the gaskets accidentally. While the oil is draining, you'll grab your new gasket and slip it on your drain plug. Yours is not going to be this thick because, again, this is an aftermarket drain plug. Yours is going to look somewhat like this. It might be blue, like this one. I think this is a Toyota OE. Or the Dormans, which are just as good, they're black. But you can see this is a very thin piece of aluminum with a slight rubberized coating on each side. There's no up or down to it. It fits either way. You can get away with using these more than once, but as you can see, they're pretty thin. So once you clamp them down, they get pretty hard, and that defeats the purpose of using a gasket. All right, you can see it's just barely dripping now. So make sure that your gasket is not here. It's not stuck on here. If it is, just pry it off. And once this stops dripping, we'll just plug this up a second here. So I'm just gonna put the towel here, just wipe it and go in with the drain plug. Just get it in there, nice and by hand. Okay, just gonna tighten it with the regular ratchet before I come in with the torque wrench. So I know it's not dripping. I can move the pan. Alright, now you got your torque wrench in at 27 foot-pounds. Alright, so the drain plug is back in. Now we'll take off the oil filter. Now we're going to get the oil filter. That's the oil filter there, that blue thing. Now be careful, if the engine is still warm, this will be very hot. This is the exhaust manifold heat shield. The exhaust manifold's under there. It's super duper hot. And now if you're strong enough, you can just grab onto this and turn this counterclockwise. Okay, that way. Counterclockwise. I'm not strong enough to do that, so I'm going to use a tool. This is the tool I'm going to use. You can get these for about $5-6 at Walmart or many other places. There's a few other options that are similar to them. I like this particular one because I've had the thinner ones, and they just kind of, they wear out here and then they'll end up slipping. So it's got the right number of flutes, these little parts right here, to match the oil filter. And this fits on there real nice. And you can just reach down and put it on. Or you can put it on the tool first. But that's how it goes. So I'm going to pull this dipstick out because it's kind of in my way for my extension, and then I'm going to have a 6-inch extension into my ratchet, and I'm going to turn this counterclockwise to get it out. Just going to go in with my ratchet and extension and get on there. Alright, and I'm going to turn this counterclockwise. There it goes. And once you turn it just a little bit, you'll be able to get it by hand. There will be a little bit of oil that drips, but not much. When you pull it out though, immediately flip it up like that, and it'll keep the oil from dripping out. Alright, there it is. Alright, that's what we just removed, so I'm just going to go in there and wipe that with the towel. Be sure not to knock anything in there because it'll end up down in your crankcase. If this tool gets stuck on your filter, just knock it a few times and it'll come off. Alright, now what you do is you flip this over, you get a little fresh engine oil on the cap here, and you grab your new filter, open it up, and what I like to do is write the mileage and the date on the filter itself. Alright, that'll work. And now flip it over, and we're just going to rub some engine oil on this gasket surface here. Just dip your finger in the fresh oil and just put it all around. Nice like that. Alright. That'll do it. And put the lid back on the oil. Alright, now what you're going to do is you're going to feel, as you put this back on, just going to put this on, line it up. Okay, once you feel it going on, it should move nice and smoothly. Back it off just to make sure you're not cross-threaded. And then you're going to feel for when that gasket meets the metal. So it'll be that first little bit of resistance that you get in turning it. And there it is right there. So that's where the gasket meets it. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a mark right here at the top. This is my 12 o'clock. Because what we'll do now is we're just going to turn this 3/4 of a rotation. So we're going to turn it from 12 o'clock to 9 o'clock. That's what that means there. If you see this on the side of your oil filter box, it's saying put drops of oil in the gasket, screw the gasket on, wait till it meets the surface, that's what that arrow means, and then 3/4 turn, refill with oil and check oil. I don't like directions like this. So I'm not going to be able to turn this all the way 3/4 of a turn by hand, but you might be able to. I can usually get it to about 7 o'clock, and then you need the tool. Okay, so there's 6 o'clock. Let's see if I can go a little bit higher. Okay, that's it. That's all I can do. I need the tool now. So I just need to move it from, you can see it's at about 7 o'clock up to 9 o'clock. You can see the line there. We'll grab a tool. Maybe that's good. So that's why it's nice to make a little mark, because then you don't lose track. Before we move any further, let's put that dipstick back in, make sure it's clean, and we'll stick it back in there, just so that nothing falls in there while we're working. Now the most important part, well I guess the drain plug's kind of, that's all important. We have to refill with oil. It's very important that you do not run the engine without oil or with low oil. If you're ever driving your Rav4 and the oil light comes on while you're driving, stop the vehicle immediately. You can very easily ruin an engine by running it too low on oil. Drain and refill with oil filter change, that's our scenario here. That's 4.1 liters or 4.3 US quarts. Alright, sitting there on top of the air filter box is 1 liter of oil. And we're going to put that in right here, and then we're going to add 3 more liters. Let's clean this up here. Clean the area around it so no dirt and stuff is going to fall in there. And we're going to open this up. This is going to come off, turn it counterclockwise as usual. These can be a little bit tight sometimes. Okay, that one's not so bad. So I'm going to take that off. Get a funnel, because otherwise you'll make a mess. The engine's tilted a little bit. Make sure your funnel is clean. So I'm just going to get the funnel in there. Pour this in. And keep an eye on the back here, because it's tilted, obviously. It's easy to kind of spill. So let's start out with this. Yeah, okay, get another liter in here. And put that last liter of oil in. Alright, that's it on the oil. So, let's get the cap back on. You don't have to put this on crazy tight, but just tight enough that you know it's not gonna fall off. Now wait a few minutes before you check the oil. And now we'll check the oil again here. Now because we haven't started the engine yet, it's gonna show a little above full. And that's because the oil filter, once you start the engine, is going to suck up some of that oil into it. Okay, you can see it's all the way up to the F. And that's 4.1 liters or 4.3 US quarts. Back under here, just reach around it and make sure there's no oil. And there's no oil, so that's good, it's not leaking. Okay, now, being absolutely positive that you put oil back in, we'll go ahead and start her up. We're going to be looking down here at the oil light. That'll stay on for a few seconds, and then we want it to go off. And there it's off. So you're all set. Now just go ahead with the rest of your day and your normal driving, and then you'll just want to check the oil level and have a little peek under to make sure that you're not leaking any oil. I hope that this video helped you, and good luck with your repair.